We're here to talk about a forecast for the semiconductor market, and it's predicting a pretty major shock coming in 2027. Now, this isn't coming from your typical market analysis. Far from it. This prediction is based on a theory that claims to understand the fundamental rhythm of change itself.
So, to really get this, we have to start with a pretty wild question. What if the boom and bust cycles of our economy, and something as vast as the evolution of the cosmos, are actually driven by the exact same hidden pattern?
And that question brings us to the core idea behind this whole forecast, a theory of a universal rhythm that might just be the engine behind all change.
Okay, so the theory is called Triune Harmonic Dynamics, or THD for short. It was developed by a researcher named Kevin L. Brown, and it proposes that all change, everything, from atoms forming to markets crashing, follows a universal, predictable rhythm based on a 3-6-9 pattern.
As Brown himself puts it, what if all change, evolution, and existence itself followed a singular, universal pattern? It's a huge idea, right? It suggests there's a predictable order, hidden just beneath all the chaos we see. So, how does this so-called engine of change actually work? Well, it all boils down to a simple repeating cycle. And the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you have emergence. That's where a new idea or a new state of being takes form. Next comes contrast, which is a period of stress that really tests this new state. And finally, you get integration, where all that tension gets resolved and the system evolves into something new.
And I want to be clear, this isn't just a philosophy, it's actually grounded in mathematics. What you're looking at here is the core equation, really the engine of the whole THD framework. And look, you don't need to be a mathematician to get what it's for. Think of it as a blueprint, one that's designed to calculate the precise timing of that three-phase cycle of change.
All right, so we've got a theory and we've got a mathematical model. But the real question is, does it actually work in the real world? Well, to find out, we're going to apply it to an absolute pressure cooker, the global semiconductor market.
So, why semiconductors? Well, it's because that industry's constant boom and bust cycles make it the perfect real-world laboratory to put the predictive power of this THD model to the test.
Let's be honest, this is not a stable market. We've seen this kind of volatility over and over. Remember in 2018 when a memory glut caused prices to just collapse by 40% in a single quarter? Or in 2021 when the auto chip crisis basically brought supply chains to a screeching halt? Yeah, the potential for a massive disruption is always there.
So, according to the THD model, the market is currently in what it calls the pressure phase. That means structural tension is building up, as the massive hype around new AI hardware collides head-on with a surplus of older, non-AI chips.
All this building pressure is leading towards a very specific, data-driven prediction from the model. It's an event that the model calls the 2027 snap.
So how does the model even measure this pressure? It uses something called a structural pressure index. It scores these key factors like inventory glut stress, that's the strain from having way too many unsold chips, and CapEx volatility, which measures really unpredictable spending. And as you can see, the scores for these destabilizing factors, they are dangerously high.
When you add all of those up, you get a total pressure score of 32 out of a possible 40. Okay, so what does that number actually mean?
Well, here's the crucial part. Any score over 26 indicates a high probability of a market rupture. So at 32, the model isn't just saying the system is stressed, it's suggesting it is primed for a major and imminent break.
So the event it's forecasting is what's called a pricing snap. And this is defined as a rapid, really significant price drop. We're talking more than 20% in the spot markets for memory chips like DRAM and NAND. Basically the moment when supply finally and completely overwhelms speculative demand.
And the model gives us a shockingly precise time frame. It identifies a 75-day window in early 2027, with the peak probability for this event happening between March 20th and April 5th.
Now we get to what I think is the most important part. This isn't just some vague warning you might see on the news. This is a scientifically rigorous forecast, and that means it has to be falsifiable. It can be proven wrong. It comes with very clear conditions for success or failure.
And the terms are incredibly clear. There's no ambiguity. The forecast is confirmed if memory chip prices shift by more than 20% within that 75-day window. And it's proven false if prices remain stable, moving less than 5%. It's black and white. This is the test for truth.
And just for the record, this entire analysis and the forecast we've walked through is based on the Triune Harmonic Dynamics framework,
which was developed by the researcher, inventor, and author Kevin L. Brown.
Which really leaves us with one final, pretty mind-bending thought. We started this whole thing with the idea of a universal pattern. If that rhythm can really be used to predict the incredibly complex behavior of a global market, what other parts of our future might it already be composing?